I still remember the exact moment my phone buzzed with that text, the one that shattered everything I'd spent 5 years building. Some people just aren't meant to be mothers. Enjoy my vacation pics. My name is Kimberly, and I was sitting in my car outside the fertility clinic when my sister Sandra's message came through. I just finished my consultation with Dr. Walsh, discussing my upcoming IVF cycle, the one I'd saved $50,000 for by working 2 jobs and living on rice and beans, the one that was supposed to finally make my dreams of motherhood come true. But when I opened my banking app to schedule the deposit, my stomach dropped. The account balance read $127.34. There must be some mistake, I whispered, refreshing the screen repeatedly. But the truth was right there in the transaction history. A transfer of $50,000 to Sandra Emerson Hicks, processed yesterday afternoon. My hands trembling, I called the bank. Yes, ma'am, the representative said. The transfer was authorized using your credentials. Your sister had access to your account as an emergency contact. I couldn't breathe. The world spun as more texts from Sandra flooded in. Photos of her lounging on a pristine beach, cocktail in hand. Thanks for funding our dream vacation, sis. Scott and I really needed this. Sandra, what have you done? I typed back, my fingers barely working. That money was for my IVF, my last chance. Oh, please, she replied instantly. You're 37. Maybe this is a sign to stop being so desperate. Some women aren't meant to have kids. Accept it and move on. I sat there, reading and rereading her words until my vision blurred. The cruelty wasn't surprising. Sandra had always been this way. Mom's favorite, the princess who could do no wrong. My phone rang. It was Virginia, my best friend. Kim, are you okay? You're late for coffee. She took it, I whispered. Sandra stole my IVF money. She what? Virginia's voice rose sharply. I'm coming to get you. Where are you? The clinic parking lot. Don't move. 20 minutes later, Virginia was pulling me into her arms while I sobbed. We'll fix this, she kept saying. We'll press charges. She can't get away with it. But we both knew she would. Sandra always did. Remember when she borrowed my college fund? I wiped my eyes. Mom said I was being selfish for not helping my sister pursue her dreams. Said I could always take out loans. Virginia's jaw tightened. Your mother enabled this. All of it. My phone buzzed again. Sandra had posted an Instagram story, her perfectly manicured hand holding a champagne flute against a sunset backdrop. The caption read, Living my best life. Sometimes the universe gives you exactly what you need. I can't breathe, I whispered. 5 years of overtime shifts, tutoring, living in that tiny apartment. Gone. Just gone. We're calling the police, Virginia declared, pulling out her phone. No. Something cold and hard crystallized in my chest. She used my credentials. The bank won't help. And you know Mom and Dad will side with her. They always do. Then what? I stared at Sandra's latest Instagram post, something shifting inside me. The sister who'd always needed my help, my money, my sacrifice. She'd finally gone too far. Nothing, I said quietly. For now, nothing. Virginia looked concerned. Kim, I mean it. I'm done trying to fix things with her. Done being the responsible one, the understanding one. I took a deep breath. She just killed the last bit of sisterly love I had left. You're scaring me a little, Virginia admitted. I managed a hollow laugh. Good, because I'm scaring myself. Later that night, alone in my apartment, I scrolled through Sandra's social media. Her perfect life, funded by my broken dreams. That's when I noticed something odd in her recent posts. Subtle hints about a special secret and big news coming soon. There was even a cryptic photo of baby shoes with the caption, Window Shopping. My phone buzzed with a text from our mother. Sandra's planning to share some exciting news this weekend. Family dinner on Sunday. You'll be there, right? She specifically asked for you to come. I typed back, wouldn't miss it, with trembling fingers, even as bile rose in my throat. Because if my suspicions were correct, Karma was about to serve up something far more interesting than Sandra's stolen beach vacation. And this time, I wouldn't be the understanding sister. This time, I'd be ready. I didn't make it to that family dinner. Instead, Sandra showed up at my door 3 weeks later, mascara streaking down her face, designer handbag clutched to her chest like a shield. "I need your help," she choked out. I stood in the doorway, not moving. "That's rich, considering the last time you needed help, you cleaned out my bank account." "Please, Kim," her voice cracked. "I'm pregnant." There it was, the confirmation I'd been waiting for. I studied her face, noting the slight swell beneath her expensive blouse. "Congratulations. I'm sure Mom and Dad are thrilled." Can I come in?" I stepped aside, watching as she settled onto my worn couch, the same one she'd mocked as shabby last Christmas. Her perfect makeup couldn't hide the dark circles under her eyes or the tremor in her hands. "There are complications," she whispered. "The baby. They found issues during the screening. I need specialized care, but Scott's company just laid him off. We lost our insurance." I walked to my kitchen, filling a glass with water. Not for her, for me. I needed something to do with my hands before I gave in to the urge to throw something. "How much?" I asked flatly. "The specialist alone is $15,000. Then there's the monitoring, the potential hospital stays." She swallowed hard. "We're looking at maybe $40,000. More if what? If I need emergency care. The doctor says I'm high risk." I let out a laugh that sounded more like a sob. $40,000. That's convenient. Almost exactly what you stole from me." "I know," she whispered. "I know what I did was awful. But this is different. This is a baby's life. And what was my IVF fund? A joke?" I set the glass down so hard water sloshed over the rim. What were my dreams of having a child? When you texted me that some people aren't meant to be mothers, what exactly did you mean? She flinched. "I was drunk. I was stupid. I'm sorry." "No, you're not sorry. You're desperate." I moved closer, watching her shrink back. "You're only here because you've run out of options. Have you blown through all that vacation money already?" Sandra's face crumpled. We had to use it for the down payment on the house, the one near Mom and Dad. They said it was perfect for a growing family." "Of course they did." I smiled, but there was no warmth in it. "So you stole my money, bought a house, and now you need me to bail you out again." "Please," she whispered. "I'll pay you back. I promise." "Like you promised to pay back my college fund?" I shook my head. "Or the money you borrowed for your wedding. Or—" "I get it!" she snapped, a flash of the old Sandra breaking through. Then she caught herself, shoulders slumping. "I get it. I've been terrible, but this isn't about me anymore." I walked to my window, staring out at the parking lot of my apartment complex, the one I'd planned to leave once I had my baby. You know what the worst part was? Not the money. Not even that cruel text. It was realizing that my own sister could look at my deepest dream and decide it wasn't worth respecting. Silence stretched between us. Finally, Sandra spoke. "What do you want me to do?" I turned back to her. "What makes you think I want anything?" "Because I know that look." She wrapped her arms around herself. "You're going to help me, aren't you? But there are going to be conditions." "Smart girl." I sat down across from her. "Yes, I might help you. But first, you need to understand something. This isn't forgiveness. This isn't sisterly love. This is a transaction." "What kind of transaction?" "The kind where you learn exactly what it feels like to have someone else control your dreams." I leaned forward. "Are you ready to hear my terms?" Sandra's hand drifted to her stomach, protective. "I don't have a choice, do I?" "Oh, but you do." I smiled again, feeling that cold certainty settle in my chest. You can walk out that door right now. Go back to Mom and Dad. I'm sure they'll figure something out. They always do for you. She stayed put, tears sliding down her cheeks. Tell me your terms. Not yet. I stood up. First, I want you to text Mom. Tell her you came to see me. Tell her what you did with my money. All of it. Kim, do it now. I want to watch. With shaking fingers, Sandra pulled out her phone. As she typed, I saw our mother's response pop up almost immediately. Oh, sweetie, I'm sure your sister understands. Family helps family. Perfect, I whispered, more to myself than Sandra. Now we can begin. You want me to do what? Sandra's voice cracked as I laid out my first condition. A video confession, I repeated calmly. Full details of how you stole my IVF money, what you spent it on, and why you did it. Then you'll post it to your Instagram, Facebook, and send it to your work email list. I can't. She clutched her designer purse tighter. I'll lose my job. My friends? Your friends should know who they're really friends with. I pulled out my phone and started recording. Let's practice. Look at the camera and tell the truth. All of it. Virginia, who'd arrived halfway through our conversation, shifted uncomfortably in the corner. Kim, maybe this is going too far. No, I said firmly. This is exactly far enough. Start talking, Sandra. My sister stared into the camera lens, mascara-stained tears rolling down her cheeks. I accessed my sister's bank account using her emergency credentials. I stole $50,000 that she'd saved for IVF treatments. I spent it on a vacation and house down payment, then told her she wasn't meant to be a mother. And why did you do it? Sandra's voice became barely audible. Because I knew I could get away with it. Because I always have. Perfect. I stopped recording. Now do it again, but this time mention how long I worked to save that money. Kimberly, Virginia warned, this isn't you. You're right, I agreed. The old me would have already written Sandra a check, no questions asked. The old me would have swallowed her pain and played the supportive sister. But that Kimberly died the day she got that text message. Sandra looked between us, desperate. What else? What are your other conditions? I sat down across from her. Once the video is posted, you'll write a formal letter to your HR department admitting to financial fraud. You'll copy your boss, Kingsley. That's career suicide. Should have thought about that before committing actual fraud. I shrugged. But here's the thing. You do this, and I'll cover your first specialist appointment. That's $15,000. And the rest? She whispered. We'll discuss that after you follow through with part 1. I forwarded the practice video to her phone. You have 24 hours. Sandra left shortly after, clutching the paper where I'd written my demands. Virginia stayed behind, concern etched on her face. This isn't healing you, she said softly. It's not supposed to. I started washing the dishes Sandra had left untouched. It's supposed to teach her consequences. My phone buzzed. It was Scott, Sandra's husband. You're being cruel. She's pregnant and scared. I typed back, and I was childless and betrayed. Funny how that works. The next morning, Sandra's confession video appeared on her social media. She'd done it in one take, tears streaming down her face as she detailed her actions. The comments started rolling in immediately. OMG, how could you do that to your own sister? This is disgusting. I always knew your perfect life was fake. By afternoon, her boss Kingsley had received the HR letter. Sandra texted me a screenshot of his response. We need to discuss this immediately. My office, 9 a.m. tomorrow. Proof of the meeting, I texted back, and I'll transfer the specialist payment. You're destroying my life, she responded. No, I'm showing you what it feels like to lose everything you worked for. The difference is, you're getting something in return. I got nothing but a mocking text. Virginia called later that evening. Sandra's husband is talking about legal action. Says you're causing emotional distress to a pregnant woman. I laughed. Let him try. I have copies of everything. The bank transfers, her confession, That text message? Does he really want this to get messier? What's your end game here, Kim? I stared at my reflection in the window, barely recognizing the woman I'd become. Justice, or maybe just the satisfaction of watching her perfect life crumble like mine did. My phone lit up with another text from Sandra. Meeting with Kingsley tomorrow confirmed. I'm on probation pending investigation. Mom's furious with you. Of course she is, I replied. But here's the thing, Sandra, Mom can't fix this for you. Only I can, and we're just getting started. I sent her the specialist payment confirmation, then added, by the way, that designer closet of yours, the one you're so proud of, start photographing everything. You're going to need it for phase 2. What do you mean? You'll see. Sweet dreams, sis. Don't forget to tag me in tomorrow's meeting update. I put my phone down, feeling that now familiar cold satisfaction settle in my chest. Because Sandra didn't know it yet, but her public humiliation was just the beginning. The fallout from Sandra's confession video was swift and merciless. Her carefully curated social media empire, all those perfectly filtered photos of luxury vacations and designer hauls, crumbled within days. Her followers turned from adoring fans to angry critics, each comment a reminder of her betrayal. How's work? I asked during our weekly update call, which I'd insisted on recording. They've moved me to a back office, Sandra's voice trembled, away from clients. Kingsley says my reputation issues make me a liability. Fascinating how actions have consequences, isn't it? Before she could respond, my phone buzzed with another call. Mom. I put Sandra on hold. What are you doing to your sister? Mom's voice crackled with rage. She's having panic attacks. The doctor says her blood pressure is dangerously high. Oh, now you're concerned about medical issues? I kept my voice eerily calm. Where was this concern when Sandra stole my fertility treatment money? That was different. She needed... What? I cut her off. What did she need so desperately that it justified destroying my dreams? She's your sister. And I was her sister when she cleaned out my account, when she mocked my infertility, when she... Stop being so dramatic, Mom snapped. You can always save up again. Sandra needs help now. I laughed, a hollow sound that seemed to surprise us both. You know what? You're right. Sandra needs help now, so I'll help, my way. I switched back to Sandra's call. The specialist appointment revealed complications, right? Yes, she whispered. They want me on bed rest, with in-home nursing care. That's expensive. Please, she begged. Insurance won't cover it. Scott's still unemployed. We can't afford... I'll cover half, I interrupted. Consider it interest on what you stole. Half won't be enough. The nurse alone is $4,000 a week. Then I suggest you start selling things. I paused, letting that sink in. All those luxury bags you love showing off? Those designer shoes? Time to liquidate. Sandra's breath hitched. But what? Isn't your baby's health worth more than your Gucci collection? The line went quiet, except for her muffled sobs. Finally, Scott's voice came through. He'd obviously been listening in. You heartless bitch, he snarled. You'd risk your own niece or nephew's life for revenge? Interesting choice of words, Scott. Wasn't Sandra risking my future children's lives when she stole my IVF money? Or do only her potential children matter? He hung up. 10 minutes later, Sandra texted, Fine, I'll sell everything. Happy now? Not yet, I replied, because you're not selling on eBay or to consignment shops. I have something more appropriate in mind. The next day, Virginia helped me set up a charity auction event at the women's shelter where I volunteered. You're really going to make her sell her things here? Where better? I arranged the auction flyers. All proceeds split between her medical care and the shelter's single mothers program. Poetic, don't you think? You've changed, Virginia observed. No, I've just stopped pretending to be okay with being everyone's doormat. My phone buzzed again. Another angry text from Mom. Sandra's crying in my kitchen, says you're forcing her to sell her things to poor people. Why can't you just help her quietly like a real sister would? Something inside me snapped. I hit call instead of texting back. Let me make something very clear, I said when she answered. I stopped being a real sister the day Sandra decided my life savings meant less than her vacation. You want to know why I'm doing this? Because for 37 years, I watched you excuse her behavior. I watched you sacrifice my needs for her wants. Well, guess what? I'm done being the responsible one who fixes everything. It's Sandra's turn to sacrifice. But no, you don't get to butt your way out of this. Your precious princess is finally facing consequences, and you can't stand it. Too bad. This is happening. I hung up before she could respond and turned to Virginia, who was staring at me with wide eyes. Feel better? She asked. Actually, yes. I picked up my phone as it buzzed with a new message from Sandra, a photo of her collapsed on Mom's couch, hooked up to a blood pressure monitor. Is this what you wanted? She'd written. To see me suffer? I typed back, no, Sandra. This is what I needed. For you to finally understand what it feels like to have someone else control your future. The auction is Saturday at 2 p.m. Don't be late. Then I added, oh, and wear something nice. You'll be modeling each piece before it's sold. Every single thing you bought while I was eating ramen to save for IVF. Your audience deserves to see exactly what my dreams were worth to you. The women's shelter's community room was packed. Sandra stood at the front, pale and shaking, as I took the microphone. Ladies, welcome to our special charity auction, I announced. Today's items come from a very privileged donor who's learning valuable lessons about karma and consequences. Sandra, show us the first piece. With trembling hands, she held up a red-bottomed Christian Louboutin heel. Size 37, she whispered. Retail $940. Purchased, I added cheerfully, the same week I was working overtime at the tutoring center to save for IVF. Starting bid is $200. The room buzzed with excitement as hands went up. Sandra flinched with each bid, watching her carefully curated collection sell for fractions of what she'd paid. Next up, I called out, a Chanel Classic flat bag. Purchased? When was it, Sandra? Oh, right, the day after you drained my account. Please stop, she whispered. What's that? Speak up for our bidders, sis. A young woman in the back raised her hand. Question. Why is she selling all this? I smiled. An excellent question. Sandra, would you like to explain? She gripped the podium, tears threatening to spill. I stole my sister's IVF savings. Now I'm pregnant with complications and need the money for medical care. The room went silent. Then another woman spoke up. Wait, you stole money that was meant to help your sister have a baby? Sandra nodded miserably. And now you need help with your own baby? Another nod. The woman whistled low. That's some serious karma right there. The auction continued. Each item came with a story. What Sandra had been doing while I saved, what she'd said when she took my money. By the third hour, she could barely stand. Getting tired? I asked during a break. Imagine how tired I was working 2 jobs for 5 years. I need to sit down, she mumbled. The baby. Fine, 10-minute break. But that Hermes collection isn't going to sell itself. Virginia appeared at my elbow. She doesn't look good, Kim. She'll survive. Unlike my dreams of motherhood. The auction resumed. Near the end, I picked up the last Chanel bag, the newest one still with tags. This one's special, I announced, because instead of selling it, I'm giving it away. Sandra's head snapped up. What? I gestured to a teenage girl in the back row. Maria, come up here, please. A young woman, barely 18, made her way forward, cradling her infant. Maria's starting college next month, I explained. Full scholarship. She's been saving for textbooks while working nights at a diner. Today, she gets something nice for herself. I handed her the bag. Sandra made a choked sound as Maria hugged me, tears in her eyes. That bag was worth $7,000, Sandra hissed when the crowd dispersed. Funny how money means something different when you've earned it yourself. Scott burst through the door then, face red with anger. This ends now. You've humiliated her enough. Actually, I checked my notes. We still have her jewelry collection to go through. I'm taking her home, he growled, supporting Sandra's trembling form. And we're calling our lawyer. I held up my phone. Great. I'll send them the video confession Sandra made, along with bank records showing her fraud. Should make for an interesting case. You're enjoying this, Sandra whispered, watching me suffer. No more than you enjoyed sending me those vacation photos after stealing my money. I started packing up the auction records. By the way, we raised $32,000 today. Half goes to your medical care, half to the shelter's programs. Seems fair, don't you think? Scott helped Sandra toward the door, but I wasn't finished. Oh, and Sandra, the nursing care you need, it's going to cost more than what we raised today. A lot more. She turned back, face pale. What are you saying? I'm saying there's more to come, because that specialist you need, the one who handles high-risk pregnancies, he won't take partial payments. Haven't you done enough? Scott demanded. That depends, I replied coolly. Has Sandra learned enough? Because I have one final condition for covering the rest of her medical care. And trust me, she's not going to like it. What condition? Sandra asked, voice barely audible. I smiled, thinking of the guardianship papers my lawyer had drawn up. Let's discuss it tomorrow. For now, go home and rest. Think about everything you've lost today. As they left, Virginia touched my arm. The guardianship thing, are you sure? Absolutely. I watched Sandra's retreating form, because sometimes the best revenge isn't just taking something from someone, it's making them live with the consequences forever. The last of the auction attendees filed out, leaving me alone with the remnants of Sandra's perfect life scattered around the room. It felt like poetry, her carefully constructed facade stripped away, piece by expensive piece, just like she'd stripped away my dreams. You want what? Sandra's voice cracked as she stared at the legal documents spread across my kitchen table. Guardianship rights, I repeated calmly. If something happens to you during this high-risk pregnancy, I become the baby's legal guardian. Not Mom, not Scott, me. Scott slammed his hand on the table. This is insane. You can't just... Actually, I can. I slid forward a folder containing copies of Sandra's bank fraud, her confession video, and the HR complaints. Unless you prefer to handle these medical bills on your own. It's blackmail, he sputtered. No, it's insurance. I turned to Sandra. The specialist you need, Dr. Benson. His fee is $85,000 for the duration of your pregnancy. That's not counting hospital stays or emergency procedures. Still want to talk about blackmail? Sandra's hands trembled as she touched her growing belly. You want my baby? I want to ensure your child is taken care of if something goes wrong. Given your track record with responsibility, I'd say that's reasonable. We'll find another doctor, Scott declared. Dr. Benson is the only high-risk pregnancy specialist in 3 states who handles your specific condition, I countered. But sure, go doctor shopping while Sandra's condition deteriorates. I'm sure that will work out great. The room fell silent except for Sandra's quiet sobs. Finally, she whispered, You're trying to steal my baby like I stole your chance to have one. No, Sandra. I'm ensuring that if anything happens to you, your child won't be raised by someone who thinks it's okay to destroy other people's dreams for a vacation. My phone buzzed. Mom calling again. I declined it. She's been crying for days, Sandra said, begging Dad to help with the medical bills. And? They remortgaged their house. But it's not enough. I laughed softly. Of course they did. They'd rather go into debt than see their precious princess face consequences. Scott pulled out his phone. I'm calling our lawyer. Perfect. Ask them how they feel about fraud charges while you're at it. I gathered the papers. You have 24 hours to decide. Dr. Benson needs an answer by Friday. You've changed, Sandra whispered. You've become cruel. No, I've become like you. Isn't it interesting how much you hate seeing your own tactics used against you? Later that evening, my doorbell rang. It was Sandra alone, looking exhausted. Where's Scott? I asked, letting her in. At Mom's. He's not handling this well. She sank onto my couch. The lawyer said we don't have a case, not with the evidence you have. Smart lawyer. Kim? She looked up at me, eyes red-rimmed. What happens if I sign? If I give you guardianship rights? Then I transfer the full payment to Dr. Benson tomorrow. You get the care you need. Your baby gets a chance. And if something happens to me, then I raise your child with the same dedication I would have raised my own. I sat across from her. The child I'll probably never have now, thanks to you. She flinched. I never thought. That's the problem, Sandra. You never think about anyone but yourself. She pulled out a pen with shaking hands. I'll sign. Not because of the blackmail, but because... She swallowed hard. Because you're right. I don't trust Scott to raise a baby alone, or Mom and Dad to do better with my child than they did with us. I watched as she signed each page, her tears falling onto the documents. One more thing, I said when she finished. The baby's middle name. I get to choose it. Why? Because every time you say your child's full name, I want you to remember what you did, what it cost you. She stood up, pressing one hand to her lower back. When did you become so cold? The day I read your text message about not being meant to be a mother. I gathered the signed papers. The payment will be sent to Dr. Benson in the morning. His office will call you to schedule your first appointment. As Sandra reached the door, she turned back. The baby. It's a girl. I felt something crack in my carefully constructed wall of ice. A girl? The daughter I dreamed of having. Good to know, I said quietly. Take care of her, while you can. After she left, I called Virginia. She signed, I told her. And how does victory taste? I stared at the guardianship papers, at Sandra's trembling signature. Like ashes, but at least they're her ashes this time, not mine. My phone lit up with a text from Sandra. I'm sorry for everything. I know it's too late, but I'm sorry. I didn't reply. Some wounds run too deep for apologies, and some victories feel hollow, even when you win. But at least now Sandra understood. Every dream has a price, and sometimes karma makes you pay it in full. The call came at 3:47 a.m. Sandra was in labor, 2 months early. Where's Scott? I demanded as I rushed into the hospital. Business trip, the nurse replied. We can't reach him. She's asking for you. I found Sandra in the delivery room, her face contorted in pain. The monitors beeped frantically, showing dangerous spikes in her blood pressure. Kim, she gasped, reaching for my hand. I'm scared. For a moment, I almost pulled away. Then I saw the terror in her eyes and remembered we were once sisters who shared everything, before money and jealousy poisoned us. I'm here, I said, gripping her hand. What does Dr. Benson say? Emergency C-section, she whispered. The baby. She's in distress. They need consent forms signed. A nurse appeared with a stack of papers. Are you family? I'm her sister, and I have medical power of attorney. I pulled out the guardianship documents I'd taken to carrying everywhere. Sign here, the nurse pointed. Quickly. As I signed, I noticed the blank space for the baby's name. Sandra saw where I was looking. Grace, she said softly. I want to name her Grace. I remembered our agreement about the middle name. Grace Catherine, I replied. Catherine, my middle name. Sandra nodded weakly. Okay, Mrs. Hicks. Dr. Benson appeared, fully scrubbed. We need to move now. Kim, Sandra clutched my arm. If something happens, don't. No, listen. If something happens, tell her I'm sorry. Tell her I was selfish and cruel, but I loved her, and... She swallowed hard. Tell her about you. about how her aunt was the strong one, the good one. Nothing's going to happen, I said firmly, but my voice shook. Promise me. I promise. Now fight, Sandra. Fight for her. They wheeled her away, leaving me alone in the hallway. I called Virginia, then our parents. Scott's phone still went straight to voicemail. Hours passed in the waiting room. Mom arrived, makeup perfect despite the early hour, and immediately started criticizing my handling of the situation. If you hadn't put her through all that stress with your revenge schemes— Don't! I cut her off. Don't you dare make this my fault. Where's Dad? Too upset to come. This is all too much for him. Of course it is, I muttered. He's never handled anything difficult in his life. Dr. Benson appeared then, still in surgical scrubs. His expression made my heart stop. The baby's stable, he said quickly. 4 pounds, 3 ounces. She's in NICU, but her vitals are strong. And Sandra? He hesitated. There were complications. She lost a lot of blood. We had to perform an emergency hysterectomy. She's in critical condition. Mom collapsed into a chair, wailing. I stayed standing. What are her chances? The next 24 hours are crucial. She's young, that's in her favor, but— He paused. You should prepare yourselves. I walked to the NICU viewing window while Mom called Dad. Through the glass, I could see a tiny bundle in an incubator. Grace Catherine, my niece, possibly my ward. She's beautiful, Virginia said softly, appearing beside me. Even with all the tubes. She looks like Sandra did as a baby, I whispered. I remember the day they brought her home from the hospital. I was so excited to be a big sister. You still are her big sister. Am I? Sometimes I wonder if I crossed a line, if I went too far. You did what you had to do to heal. Did I heal, though? Or did I just spread the pain around? A nurse approached us. Are you Kim? Your sister's awake. She's asking for you. I found Sandra in ICU, pale as the sheets around her, but alive. Her eyes flickered open as I approached. Grace, she whispered. She's perfect, small but fighting. Like her aunt. Sandra's hand found mine. The guardianship papers? Don't think about that now. No, listen. Keep them. Even if I make it. Keep them. I stared at her. What? You were right about everything. I'm not good with responsibility, with consequences, but you are. Her voice was fading. Promise me you'll be in her life. Teach her to be better than me. Sandra, promise me. I promise. She drifted off to sleep then, monitors beeping steadily. I stayed, watching my sister breathe, thinking about cycles of pain and healing, of revenge and redemption. My phone buzzed. Scott had finally called back. I stepped into the hallway to answer. Where the hell are you? I demanded. Vegas, he slurred. With friends? I closed my eyes, understanding washing over me. Some patterns repeat themselves, generation after generation. But maybe, just maybe, Grace Catherine would break the cycle. I walked back to the NICU window, pressing my hand against the glass. Hello, little one, I whispered. Your story's going to be different. I promise. She's getting so big, Virginia remarked, watching Grace crawl across my living room floor, 8 months old and already trying to take over the world. I scooped up my niece as she headed for the bookshelf, just like her mother at that age. Speaking of Sandra, my phone buzzed with her daily check-in text. How's she doing today? I sent back a photo of Grace attempting to eat a plastic block. Sandra's recovery had been slow, physically and emotionally. After Scott's Vegas escapade ended in divorce papers, she'd moved in with our parents, working remotely and attending therapy 3 times a week. Coming for her weekend visit tomorrow? I texted. Yes, Mom wants to come too. I hesitated before replying. My relationship with our mother had shifted since Grace's birth. The night Sandra coded in ICU, Mom had broken down in the hospital chapel, finally admitting her role in enabling Sandra's behavior all these years. "Mom can come," I wrote back, "but the rules still apply." Those rules had become our new normal. Sandra saw Grace every weekend, but always at my place, always under my terms. The guardianship papers remained in force, Sandra's idea, not mine. "I need accountability," she'd said. "I need to earn trust back." My doorbell rang. It was Dr. Walsh, my fertility specialist. "Ready for your appointment?" she asked, stepping inside. We'd arranged for home consultations after Grace started living with me part-time. "Look who's here," I told Grace, who squealed at the familiar face. Dr. Walsh had become part of our strange, reconstructed family. "Any side effects from the new protocol?" she asked as we settled at my kitchen table. "Some headaches, but nothing major." I watched Grace play with her blocks. "The online support group you recommended has been helpful." "Good. And you're sure about using the donor eggs?" I nodded. After everything, I decided to try IVF again, this time with donor eggs to increase the success rate. The funding had come from an unexpected source. Women who'd followed Sandra's confession video had started a GoFundMe, raising over $75,000 for my treatment. Speaking of donors, Dr. Walsh pulled out some papers. "I have an unusual request to discuss." She handed me a form. I recognized Sandra's signature at the bottom. "Your sister came to see me," Dr. Walsh explained. "She wants to donate her eggs for your IVF cycle." I stared at the form, emotions churning. But her hysterectomy didn't affect her ovaries. Medically, she's an excellent candidate. Dr. Walsh paused. She said it was the only way she could think to truly make amends. Grace crawled over, pulling herself up on my leg. I lifted her into my lap, breathing in her baby scent. "What are you thinking?" Dr. Walsh asked softly. "I'm thinking about cycles," I replied, "about how we break them." My phone buzzed again. "Sandra, did Dr. Walsh talk to you? Please don't say no just because it's me offering. I know I don't deserve forgiveness, but maybe I can give you this one thing back." Virginia picked up Grace, giving me space to think. "Whatever you decide," she said, "make sure it's for the right reasons." I looked at my niece, at her innocent face that somehow combined the best of both her mother and me. Then I picked up my phone. "Come over tonight," I texted Sandra. "We need to talk about this in person." Hours later, we sat on my couch, Grace asleep in her playpen nearby. Sandra looked better than she had in months. Therapy and accountability agreed with her. "Why?" I asked simply. "Because you were right," she replied. "About everything. About consequences. About responsibility. About what it means to truly love someone." She wiped her eyes. "Watching you with Grace, seeing how you balance firmness with forgiveness, I want to help you have that for yourself. It won't fix what happened. I know. Nothing can fix that. But maybe it can be part of something new. Something better." I studied my sister's face, remembering the cruel text she'd sent about me not being meant to be a mother. Life had proven her wrong in the most unexpected way. "Okay," I said finally. "But not because you need forgiveness, because Grace deserves to know that people can change, that love can heal even when it seems impossible." Sandra nodded, tears flowing freely now. "Thank you." "Don't thank me yet," I warned. "There's one condition. Anything. If it works, if I have a baby, you have to be in their life. As an aunt, as family. But you have to keep doing the work. Keep earning trust. I promise," she whispered. "For Grace. For your baby. For us." Grace stirred in her sleep, making those tiny baby sounds that had somehow healed parts of me I thought were broken forever. I reached for Sandra's hand. "Some people are meant to be mothers," I said softly. "Sometimes they just need help remembering who they really are.